Okay, so now for our first speaker is the business director of Facebook for France. Please help me welcome Florence Trouche.
Merci Rina.
Thank you so much.
Bonsoir.
Thanks a lot for joining us and for the
pleasure.
time. So Florence actually kicked off the female initiatives at the family.
Yeah.
It was when we started the family 5 years ago,
Yeah.
almost 6 years ago, that she came here and put all her beautiful energy and effort into supporting us with these topics. And you've done a lot around these discussions. You've talked also in Facebook around female leadership, on motivating girls to step up, on motivating them to be ambitious. What is something that you've learned from all of that in terms of how to stimulate women to be more out there and to pursue their passions?
Thank you. Effectively, we have launched with Alice and Erika from the family a network called Sisterhood. So we will once again this year organize an event dedicated to women and to women networking, because it's super important to get in touch together and to help women. Women are better to help women than anyone else. And it's something that we always forget, because there is a rumor or fake news. Facebook talks about fake news also. So about fake news that say women are enemies for other women. Never believe it. Never believe it. Women are not enemies for other women. They are the most helpful women for the other women. So keep in mind that, and don't hesitate to ask the help from another woman. It's often much more easily. What I have learned, it's not only within Facebook, it's because I've been managing people since maybe 20 years. So I was a super young manager when I started working, and I thought that to be a manager, you have to act as a man. So I was always in black. It hasn't changed a lot, but I was always wearing suits like men. I was super. I was called a bossy girl, and my personal environment and my friends always told me, "You bossy, you are the kindest woman on the earth. You are called bossy by your team." I said, yes. They told me that I am super hard. But then time after time, I realized it's because I wanted to take the main attributes to be considered as respectful and to be considered as a manager. And so I tried to work on what we call bias, to better understand what was my internal bias and try to fight against it, because one day a girl from my team told me, "I will never be a woman like you." I said, "What? Never be? Why? You don't take care about your children." I'm a mother of 3. "You don't take care about your husband." She didn't know my husband. She didn't know my children either. "You just work. You are totally workaholic. I don't want to be a woman like you." I was about 35 or 38 at this stage, and so I say, okay, it's the image I give to the other woman. And I don't want to give that image, because you don't have to be a man to be ambitious. You don't have to be a man to rule team. You don't have to get the attribute of men, traditional, I will say, attribute of men to be successful. But it's a super strong bias that exists within the society. And the first attacked, I will say, by that bias are women. It's not men, it's women. So it's something that I learned. I learned a lot. I can develop during hours. I learned that a no, telling no to someone won't never kill you. So don't hesitate to dare, because, okay, if you don't ask something for yourself, I will tell you, nobody will ask something for yourself. Nobody. Nobody. Don't wait until someone gives you something. It doesn't exist in the real life if you don't ask. So the not to be fear about the no was one of the main freedom tips that I had in my life. And the second tip that someone told me, and I always, still now, always use it, you cannot imagine what is in the mind of the people you are in front of. When I'm speaking, I don't know what is in your mind. So don't try to imagine what is in the mind in the person you are talking with, whether it's a founder, whether it's an investor, whether it's managers, whether it's your girlfriend or boyfriend. You never know what is in the mind of someone. So don't spend too much time imagining, okay, if I tell that, he or she will think that I'm like that. If I ask that, he or she will say, okay, blah, blah. Don't spend too much time in imagining what is in the mind of the other.
How did you implement these learnings in practice when you tried to pass it along to your team? How did you make sure they learned?
I coach my team, especially the women, to ask for salary increase. And it's funny because at the end of the day, each year it's with me that they are discussing about a salary increase. And I tell them to ask. I tell them to be prepared to do the post-mortem of all the years they have spent, to put on the top of their list all the success they have, because a lot of women, when they interacted, when we are doing the review, they are always thinking about what they haven't not done, okay? And they never speak about all the success they have done. So they are looking for the 100% of success. It doesn't exist. The perfection doesn't exist in this world. So don't try to look after perfection and be 100 successful. It doesn't exist, even for the best people on the earth. So try to always speak about yourself and the positive aspect, and ask for money, ask for what you should get.
That is really interesting, because we have these conversations quite often, especially with younger women who are starting out and entrepreneurs themselves too. There are a lot of cases where women undervalue what they're doing and what they're producing. So even when you have a product, you would sell it much less than a guy would. Why do you think that is?
I think it's essentially social bias, to be honest, because it starts with the childhood. When you think about a girl or a boy under the age of 6, they don't understand that they are a boy or a girl. There is no gender in their mind. And then after 6, starts the knowledge and the understanding of the gender. It's also within the society. It starts at school, for example. It's totally unconscious, but it impacts, for example, directly the tech field. So for the little girl, the care, what do you want to be when you will be old? Okay, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a nurse, I want to be someone who would take care about the world. And the boys are much more engaged to become engineers, to become someone with power. It starts at the very beginning of your life. So time after time, we are not educated to take position, to take the power, to take our life into our hands, because it wasn't the space where women or young girls were expected to take their own life in their hand and be able to be independent, to be free, to own their own life, to own their own destiny. It wasn't something asked to women. And it starts at the very early stage of life. So it starts like that. I will say also that what is called glass ceiling totally exists, meaning that a woman wants to I can see that, but I will give you 2 examples. The first one is when we are trying to hire people within Facebook. The recruiter team told me it takes 9 times to get in touch with a woman who is already working for a company, meaning that she isn't looking after a job. We have to try to get in touch with her 9 times. With a boy, it's 1 time. Even if this person doesn't want to change, even if doesn't want to work at Facebook, he will immediately react to a proposition. The woman, no, she will say, okay, no, I'm working for X, Y, I'm totally engaged with the company, so I won't even speak to another company. So it's the first stage, they don't dare, and they don't give them the freedom to dare. The main point. And the second one is they want to have 90% of the skills required to do something in order to launch themselves and to perceive themselves as relevant and as credible. And for example, when we open some position within Facebook, and it's not only within Facebook, because I have lived those kind of situation many years, many times in all the company I have managed. A boy will say, okay, I'm ready, even if you just have 60% of the skills or even less. And a girl will say, okay, it's not for me. I'm just 90% ready to do that. It's not for me. So they won't raise the hand to say, okay, I deserve that position. They won't do that. So I am always trying to push the team in order to say, okay, have you seen that position? Yes, but no, it's not for me. I'm not ready. Okay, when will you be ready? When? Don't wait until you be ready. Take the position, go on the skyrocket, and you will see what happens.
How was your upbringing? How did you come to the notion to pursue a business career?
I think it's one day I was 15. And I have been raised in a very traditional family, and I don't know, for French people, I'm sure you understand what it means when we call a very traditional family. It means that my mother didn't work, my father worked from 7 to midnight, so we were quite alone with my sisters and my mother. And one day she told me, be always independent. Be always able to manage your own life. Don't count on someone else for your entire life. Be free. And I think it has started with this advice. We are 3 sisters, and to be honest, my 2 others are much more dependent than I am. And it was key for me to get the freedom to do what I wanted to do. And then I started in the advertising business. And I always wanted not to be the boss. I just hate to have too much boss under my head. So it's for me, it's, I can't breathe. I'm like in a small boxes, dark small boxes. Even right now, I'm quite. I've got a good position within Facebook. And sometimes I tell to my manager, who is the head of Southern Europe, don't push me in the black box. I hate that. So it's not to be. I didn't want to manage and to be a chief of whatever. I just wanted to be free, and I always managed during my entire career to be as free as I can be in the organization. And I dare to say, no, don't put me in the dark box. I don't want to go in that box. So I refuse a lot of things, and I do a lot also, of course, obviously, but I refuse to suffer from external factors, I will say.
How did you learn to sort of put these factors that might sometimes drive you down, like being in an environment where you weren't necessarily taught to be driven by yourself, or when you were building up your career? How did you deal with these moments of doubt when you had people who might not have been supportive, or you yourself felt, okay, this is too much?
Yes, it's super hard when it comes. It happens, of course, obviously. It's super hard. So you go down, and then you realize that you just continue to go up. That nobody will appreciate you. Not all the people will appreciate you. It doesn't exist on the earth. So you don't love everyone. So guess what? Not everyone loves you, so try to fix your own path. And when I'm done, I say, okay, you don't have done all those kind of stuff just to go into the black box. So just raise again, and the day you understand you manage your own destiny. And that it's key to manage your own destiny. It's like a big space of freedom that opens in front of your mind, and you are much more strong to face hard situation. And when I face hard situation, I always remember that after hard situation, there is always a good situation. And when I am living good situation, I always remember that it won't last all the life. So I enjoy it the most I can, just to take the most of the current situation.
What are your personal values that drive you?
I will say my first value is, I'm trying to find the right word in English, is justice. It's the sense of justice. It's something, and I have really understood that it was key for me. And it's also another tip. You can understand what are the value you've got into yourself when you feel super uncomfortable. So the physical aspect of something uncomfortable are very different according to each of us. For someone, it could be le ventre. For someone, it can be just the breath that stops. For someone, it can be you begin red. So it's easy to analyze when your body is telling you, okay, you are in something which is super uncomfortable for you. And when you understand that, you try to understand what are the external aspects of what makes you so uncomfortable, and it's totally correlated to your value. Try the exercise, it's super. So for me, when something is unfair, when someone has an attitude that is incorrect, unfair, that is wrong, that is a liar, it takes me a lot of energy. So I will say that the sense of justice is the ethical way, and the sense of justice is super in my backbone.
So you yourself are very ambitious. I'm not even going to ask you because you radiate it. But what does it mean to you, that term ambition?
For me, it's super positive. It means that you will try to push the barrier always further, that will always try to learn something, that we will never sleep on your own experience. I don't mean never sleep in the real life. You have to sleep 7 or 8 hours a day. It's the key things to do. No, it's just you never stop to want to, yes, to learn new things, to ask for something that you are not familiar with. Always push yourself. When you, I have another tip. When I don't dare to do something or to ask someone to someone, I say, okay, it's because you are in the uncomfortable. You are just in the limit of your comfortable zone. So go further. Go out of your comfortable zone. When I want to say no, I say, okay, it's your brain. You want to say no to a situation, a proposal, meaning that it's the time to go out of your comfort zone. So for me, it's ambition. It's to never let down and to always try to fix something, to achieve an objective, and never let something down.
Beautifully put. I would love to pass on the mic to you guys to ask questions before we lose time, because it's even more wonderful when we have an interaction. So does anybody have anything to ask? There.
Okay, so this is a microphone. Okay, so you have to throw it. You can throw it, it's fine, it's super soft, and you have to speak in the black thing. Okay? So you start, right? You catch it? You ready?
Hi, thank you very much for discussing your career. I'm just wondering, because I'm listening to you, I'm not sure about your background, but did you have the strive to create a business at some point? I'm curious to see how you think about it. Yeah.
So I have always think about launching my own businesses. But in fact, I've been always asked by big companies to launch internal businesses. So it means that I add all the time, even at Facebook, I have the chance to experiment new projects and to launch new businesses. And I never dare to do that by myself. The why is maybe because I'm mother of 3, but I'm alone. So I am in charge of feeding my children. I was always, and it's something that it's not an advice, it's just an explanation. I always wanted that my children be safe in a super environment, in a I wanted to have the money to offer them a super good life. And it's maybe that stick me to big companies, to be honest. But I always managed to create internal organization within big companies. So you have to cope with that, because when you have got more an entrepreneurship spirit within established company, sometimes it's complicated. My former company, okay, we discussed with the owner of the company. I told him, okay, I don't buy your ideas anymore. I don't buy your behavior anymore. We have to stop together. So you have to be able to do that, because it's sometimes complicated to to build your own space within big companies, but it's easy to, not easy, you can do that, but you have to cope.
Thank you.
There we go up front.
Well, thanks for being here today. My question was more about, you mentioned that in the beginning you simulate some kind of man behavior to be respected.
Yes.
And I'm curious to know, how do you prepare your team members who are men to understand women better, and eventually when they are managers, be able to empower them and encourage to be themselves independently of their bias?
I am lucky because I work at Facebook, and we've got a dedicated program for male and for male managers. It's a program for everyone, but it's called Be the Ally, Soyez les Alliés, and it helps us to better understand different situations. So it's a program built around real situations faced in real companies, when someone is put in a bad situation. So we are playing role, and for example, it could be the presentation of a project in front of our VP, and how do you make women take the word, because they don't always take the word. It could be a woman who comes back from her maternity leave and she doesn't find her job anymore. So half of her job has disappeared. How do you manage that situation? So we are putting men and women also in a real situation in order to have them understood their bias, and in order to make them understand their bias. And the second thing, it's not directly correlated to your question, but as we are quite a crew of young people, male and women have got the same months in terms of paternity and maternity leave. Meaning that when you are a man, you've got 4 months to take care about your baby. And it changed things a lot, because they totally understand what does it mean when you are taking care about your personal life and your family life, and what does it mean when you are going back to the office. And I've got a lot of male managers that are just fathers, so it wasn't the aim of the paternity leave of 4 months for male, but at the end of the day it helps a lot to better understand the female situation within a business.
Okay, thank you very much. It was super interesting. And I just wanted to ask you, like, you told us this story about, like, one day there is this employee that came to you and told you that I never want to be like you because you're like kind of a workaholic. And I just wanted to know, like, did it change the way you see ambition, and what did you change exactly?
It didn't change the way as I saw ambition. It changed the way I interact with people, mainly. Meaning that after that I understood that some of my team didn't dare to speak with me because, for example, especially the women, because they felt that I wasn't able to understand them, because I was so focusing on business results and so on, and that they thought that the single example they have to follow was mine. And it's something that I definitively don't buy. It's up to each other to manage their own life, and it can be putting more effort on a private project or to launch a new project or put more effort on the family or on sports or whatever. And I, to be honest, I'm still very ambitious, but as I explained, but I'm very cautious to respect the other choices in order to not have clone of Florence. I don't want to have any clone in my team because I totally believe in the various skills and mindset, because so it changed. Yes, it changed the behavior towards the team.
Can do one more, if anybody wants. Okay, here front.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Yes. I just have one question. How have you managed to balance your personal life and work life, and how have you managed to have a good position being mother of three?
Thank you. Good question, because to be honest, there is a big bias. I have heard once someone that told someone else, I was just behind, so I hear, okay, I guess that our children are taking drugs every day and that they are they don't are good at school, they are alone each night, they have to cook by themselves because she doesn't take care about their children. It's totally not true. How I manage that, and my children are super vocal around that. They always told me, we know you, we know that you love your work, we know that sometimes you are not here, we know, but you are always here. When we want to get in touch with you, you are here for us. We never, they are used to live with me. And I spent not a big amount of time, for sure, compared to someone who works less. But the time I spent with them, it's one of my ex-children. The time we spend together is super valuable, and I try to keep out of my mind all the nasty noises around businesses, around the clients that are not that are complaining about something, or a team which is not good, blah blah blah. I try to always put out of my mind the business stuff when I go out of my office. It's like an exercise that I am doing, and the more you are doing that, the more your brain is used to say, okay, don't think about businesses out of your business places.
Beautiful.
And my children are in super good health. They are super good at school. They are super sympa. But I'm twice divorced. So I'm not sure that I was the best wife on the earth.
Do you think their ambition has been boosted by seeing you, how driven you are with your career?
No, my children? Yes. They know one thing is that you have to be free, you have to be independent, you have to do what you love. So it's something that they have experienced with me because I love my job. So it's something, yes, that they understand. And I've got one boy and 2 girls. And yes, the 2 girls want to be as independent as I am because they want to choose their life. And I always tell her, choose your life, meaning be able to have the freedom to choose your life.
Beautiful. Thanks a lot for this.
Thank you for all your questions. Thank you very much.
L'enfant